Hello. If you can see my cat here, her head is here. Hello. She always seems to decide to come up with me when I start recording. If I'm playing music or whatever, she just always seems to jump up and like, yeah, what are you doing, dude? But anyways, I thought I would start doing more podcasts because, and not podcasts with just guests, but just podcasts of me talking shit about music or art or film or whatever. Because I've had messages over the last few months with people saying, "Hey man, I love the podcast. You should do more episodes." And it was easier when I first started because I first started the podcast during lockdown, and it was kind of easier to get people because everyone was at home. And now it's a bit more sporadic. But I mean, I'm amazed at people I've already had on. It's crazy, man. It's just amazing that people, would give me their time to talk to them. Like I had Phil Brown on, and I had Tim Green, and I had Ron Carter and Van Dyke Parks, and just like there's loads I've had on. It's crazy, man. And I've got some other people lined up, which is great. And there's a cool little story. I had Patrick McGrath on the podcast, who's an OCD expert, and he uses my song "Hold On to the Colors" for a podcast that he does on OCD. And I remember I got a message from a girl saying that song meant so much to her, and it was crazy because in my head no one really gives a shit about my music, and in reality not loads do. That's just the reality of it. I'm not like lighting the world on fire. So to get a message like that was such a cool thing. It was really kind of, I don't know, made me think, how, because there's so much songs means a lot to me. And I never thought that I would have a song that would mean a lot to somebody else. So it was humbling and cool. And yeah, so the moment, music wise, I'm trying to finish off 3 records. This record I've been working on for 8 fucking years, Moons Over Mountains, which just, I don't know, finishing this is hard because for like maybe 6 years I lost a lot of my hearing in one of my ears, but I actually hadn't lost it. It was to do with my eustachian tubes, and I got hyperacusis and all this bullshit. But I think it's just, for me, it's hard to finish music. It's not hard to write music. I to finish it because you kind of put so much into it, and then you put out, and it just goes nowhere, and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing? When my first song from the album, not first song, please, sounded stupid. Doctor in the Sky, the single that I released a few months ago, I kind of thought that would do better. I had a PR for working on it, and I thought, that actually might do okay. I didn't think, I don't expect anything to light the world on fire, but I thought, it's a different song, and it kind of really didn't do anything. And that was a weird realization for me, because I've wrote a lot of songs that I think should have done well, and they haven't. And you kind of reach a point, you're like, what do I have to write for it? It's odd, and it's frustrating, because when I was 15, I first started writing music in a band. I was so myopic. If you told me at 19 that I wouldn't be successful, I'd be like, what are you talking about? And I don't mean successful in the way of like that I'm, was huge. I don't mean that huge of like, who's huge now? I don't know, Beyonce, whatever. I never expected ever to be that. That's never on my list of what I wanted. I just wanted a career in music, that I could have a house, and I could actually write music as a job, shall we say? Like that's my job. That's how I live. And I don't expect to, or never expected to be rich or anything like that, but just to be comfortable, to be able to, And that was never, I never thought that wouldn't happen. What did you call that? Ego, vanity, stupidity, whatever it was. Probably all of them combined. I think as you get older, especially now, and I think especially with that song "Doctor in the Sky," because it's a different type of song and it's catchy and it's, you know, I thought maybe that might do some good. I remember the song called "Lights in the Sand" years ago, and I met so many people like record labels with that song, and everyone was saying that's going to be a hit song, that's going to be a hit song, and it wasn't because I had no one behind it, and I had nothing, and a lot of that is my own fault. You can only blame yourself for not really pushing yourself. I always had a big problem pushing myself. Always had a problem, and I still do. Um, and I met people who, on the surface, in the music business, were, in hindsight, absolute pieces of shit, who actually tried to screw you over and did successfully screw me over, which is so weird that you'd want to do that to somebody, but hey, that's just the way it works. So yeah, it can be quite, because sometimes I kind of go, why am I putting all my being into making these records when no one really gives a shit, you know? I don't know, that's always a weird one. Like, why am I doing this? I kind of it kind of strange for me because I go back to my kind of OCD. I'm like, okay, wait, am I doing this because of it's some sort of crazy, connects to my OCD that I need to, because OCD is such a weird, complex thing. I have a podcast on that if anyone wants to listen to it. I'm not going to get into that again, but yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one. Sometimes wonder why am I doing this, And then when I do it, and when I do music and I write music, it makes me feel good. And I'm kind of lately I'm battling with that thing of like, just do it. Who gives a fuck? Just do it. Just who gives a shit? Because when I was young and I did music, I just did it because I loved it, and I always loved it. But I kind of reached a point. I started, I was like, I need to finish this, and then I need to get it on this radio. I need to get it to this person, get it to this, and get it to this, and get it to this. And I don't know, slowly over time, that kind of erodes you down because you're like, you're doing all this work and you're kind of getting nowhere. And then you kind of question, why am I doing it? And you lose the reason why you're doing it in the first place is because you just love it. You just love it. As opposed to, I love it, but I'm doing it because I want to have a career in it and I need to. And if I don't have a career in it, I'm a total failure in life. Because, I've spent so much time doing music that I just let so much other things go in life. Like everyone I know that I'm friends with, has kids and wives and houses. I have none of that. And I think it's when you reach that point of you're like, yeah, I don't think the life I thought the life I thought I would have, I am going to have. And it's a scary place to be because I'm like, shit, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have, and I continue to make music and I sometimes don't know why. I love it, but sometimes I don't know why. I know that sounds strange, but yeah, that's just. I just thought I'd do a podcast on that because I think loads of people struggle with that. I think there's so many people who write music, and there's super talented people out there, and they're getting nowhere. I'm not saying that I'm super talented, but I'm just saying there is loads of talented people and they get nowhere. It's frustrating, and you're not owed anything because you're talented. It doesn't owe you life. We're not owed anything in life, but it's just always, yeah, it's something I ponder. But I'm still going to finish those records off and off. And I have a new single coming out, which is cool. It's At the Top of the Tree. And think it will be a relief when I finish this Moves Over Mountains in particular. It's just going to be like a kind of like bit of a weight off my shoulders, because I think it's been a bit of an albatross for me for so long, especially to do with my hearing loss I had for years and just not finishing it and being too obsessive over the minutiae inside it. But yeah, so that will be done, and I'm writing a book at the moment, which is set in the west of Ireland. It's quite. My mother read like 2 chapters of it, and she's like, "I don't know what the fuck's going on," which made me laugh. But yeah, I'm doing that, and yeah, so hopefully I'll have the records out soon, and be over the course of a year, and hopefully I can finish the book soon enough. I've wrote a good lot in it. I was going to write a record along with the book, and I thought, no, just do the book, and it can be its own thing. So that's what's happening, and I'll have more podcasts coming out, stuff like that. So yeah, this is just a podcast about podcasts. No, is it? I don't know. It's a podcast about me talking shit about music and life and stuff like that. Yeah. So thanks for listening. I hope I didn't come across like too complaining. I didn't mean to be complaining. I was just kind of explaining things, and who gives a fuck, right?